Hey guys, welcome to the RAMZPAUL show. RAMZPAUL live. I think that's what I call it. Boots on the ground. Boots on the ground. Hey Rams, no boots Friday. Yes. Yeah, no boots. I don't have I'm not wearing boots now. I do have boots because I'm out in the country here. When I work in the yard, I need to put my boots on. So thank you for being here. It's Friday. We're a little bit more casual. Uh again, happy spring. I think it's spring now, right? Officially in the northern hemisphere. Is a beautiful day here in northwest Arkansas. It was already in the 80s. I had the windows open, and my dog Benji, who identifies as a black lab, it's a pit bull, is like, I'm like, what the hell? He's already killed a rabbit, and he's killed a squirrel, and now today he brought like a bird, and he was doing the head shake. And I'm like, you're just doing all the stereotypes. How dare you kill that poor little bird? So that happened today too. So he's a killer. He's a killer. He'll probably kill me one day. Now, actually, around me, he just likes to lick and lay on his back. I rub his tummy. He's scared of the cats. We have cats here, and he's scared of them. And he's kind of a wussy dog. But when he sees a rabbit or a squirrel, man, he just gets primal. And I've never had a dog that has a bite so strong. That dog can just lock on. And any squirrel that he's going to catch has no chance, or a bird or a rabbit. So, but it was a beautiful day. So I was able to let the dogs out. I live in the country, pretty far from everyone except for a rancher. So I don't have to worry about the dogs getting into trouble, really. Yeah, so it's nice. Benji and Button, they have a good life out here. As do I. As do I. I really love here in the South and in the Ozarks. It has a reputation of being hicky, but I kind of like that. And I know I'm a transplant. I'm a suburban guy, but I love being here. So I hope you guys are having a good spring too. It's been beautiful here. Got to start working in the yard pretty soon. Start mowing, and I got to clean up my porch. It's a mess because that dog keeps bringing back. It goes in the woods and keeps bringing back like huge sticks because that's what he likes to do. Because he's part black lab, and so I got to do that. So anyway, guys, thank you for being here. And I am on Rumble and on Sticks. And let me just make sure. Yeah, Rumble's going good. Now let me go on Sticks, make sure that started okay. I mean on X. All right, let's see here. X, let's see if this is going good. Yay, it's going good. Pin to the profile. So StreamYard's fixed that issue. And I'll look at my chat. If I have any sound problems, I'll check my Marcus P52A, shout out to you. He's always in the chat. I think he's the first guy that shows up. So thank you so much. I will look for you if I have a sound problem. And yeah, Chuck Norris was raptured. Chuck Norris, I see that comment in Rumble. He did die. Yeah, I bet, he lived a long life. Wasn't he like 86 or something? That's pretty good. My dad lived to 88. My doctor said that my personal physician, if you make it over 80, it's all bonus time, really, at that point, which is kind of funny because Trump turns 80 this year. And I think he's already losing it a bit. But yeah, Chuck Norris, he was the subject of so many memes back in the day. And it's sad to see him go. So, yeah. All right. Well, what we're going to do is talk mostly about the Iranian war. I started these streams again because I wanted to talk about the war. I found it interesting. I miss Z-Man. I wish Z-Man was here. I could talk to him about it. But he's dead. Tina Veek's dead. And Sticks Hexenhammer, he keeps claiming he's about to die. It's not just like, it's a RAMZPAUL curse. You never want to be my co-host. Otherwise, you die. They can make a movie about that. So we're just going to go over it. I got interested in the topic, but we can talk about other things too. It's just so batshit crazy because we got like a crazy man, like a mad King Lear as president. You don't know what he's talking. You don't know where he's going. He contradicts himself throughout the day. So who knows? The war may be over. It may be just started. We don't know because Trump keeps going back and forth on that. But we'll cover that. And if you want to support the show, I don't have sugar daddies, right? Some people are paid to post shit on X, and I'll show you that. It's pretty hilarious how they are. I got to bring up my notes. I didn't bring up my notes. I got to blame my producer on that. I'm going to fire you. See, I wish I was bigger because then I could have a whole staff. I could have women I creep on, like quartering. Just kidding, quartering. Not really. But yeah, I it's just me. So I just have to creep on myself. Let's see here. We'll get that. But it's funny how some people, they just do all these talking points that are exactly the same. Let me see if I have that. But I don't see it. We'll probably get to it. But it's some people are paid to post. I'm not paid. I've never been paid by anyone. And I like that. So I can keep independent. So I count on you guys. And if you want to leave a tip or ask a question, YouTube has SuperChats. I hope to be on YouTube for another 2 years until the Democrats take over and shut everyone down. On Rumble, you can leave a rant. And I have Powerchats up. And I already have a Power Chat from Kim. Kim, he's a friend of mine, or I've never met him, but I consider him a friend. He's in Finland. And I've been to Finland. Tina Vik and Eunice, they invited me to Finland to speak. And shout out to the Finnish people. They are great. I really like them. Ate reindeer, went to a sauna. It was a great time. Excellent. It was one of my memories I will always have. And then I also spoke in Sweden. I know we always talk about the Swedes of being cuck and all that, but I have to say the Swedish nationalists are probably the most hardcore and great people I've ever met. So shout out to Sweden. I love my Swedish people. They're really good. And so that's it. And I have to say Brits, I always make fun of the British because they're kind of like me. I mean, my heritage is British if you go back far enough. But Brits are really great people, and I do appreciate them. I also met a lot of great Brits. So I had a great time traveling and meeting a lot of people. I miss that in a way, but on the other hand, I'm happy to be here in the United States and Arkansas, in a red state, in a place that's no diversity. I rather enjoy that. If you guys can believe this, I go to the store, went to the store today. I don't lock my car. I don't see any non-white. Everyone's white. It's great. It's like a time machine. They'll probably change. They'll probably ship in a bunch of Haitians here eventually. But for right now, it's kind of like the old America. And I like that. Sasha always gets mad at me. She goes, yeah, you should still lock your car. There's a lot of rednecks or white trash that will steal from you. And that's true. But I haven't had any issue with that so far. All right. So Kim, he sent a power chat before the show. And thank you, Kim. I appreciate that. I'd like to get back to Finland. That's a place I'd like to go. I would like to go to Britain, but I think I'd be arrested. So I don't think I'd go there. I have no idea if Netanyahu is dead or alive. Yeah, that whole thing is strange because he's put out a lot of fake AI videos. And when he did his press conference, there was no journalists there. It was all AI. I think he's alive, but he's hiding like a rat. He's a rat. And he's underground. He's scared because Israelis, they like to assassinate people because that's how they roll. And he's scared that it's going to come back on him. So I don't think he's dead, but he could be. Couldn't care less. They feel like killing 70,000 civilians. Yeah, if you ever see Gaza, it's really quite shocking what God's All-Stars did. They just flattened the place, killed everyone. Well, I think Adenoid Hinkle wasn't such a bad man after all. Yes, that's a good code word. Good code word. That was if you guys don't know, Charlie Chaplin did a film called The Little Dictator that had to do with a historical feature and a historical figure. And that historical figure, yeah, he's looking like he's wasn't far off the mark on a lot of things. So thank you on that. Yeah, I don't really yeah, Netanyahu's pretty crazy. Hey, $20, very generous. Hi, Ramps. I've been a fan of yours for years, but haven't donated yet. Well, thank you. $20, that's great. I really do appreciate that. I wanted to send my support for your work before the nukes start dropping. Thank you for putting your opinion out there for all these years. Yeah, I've done this like forever, since 2008. I started on a whim. When I started on YouTube in 2008, there wasn't monetization. Your video had to be under 10 minutes, and people just did videos to have fun. And how I started, I was on a forum called Liberty Forum. It was like libertarians. I had my libertarian face, and people would debate on there. And then YouTube came out. I thought, hey, I think I'll put a video response on this forum. And yeah, like the rest is history, so to speak. But it's been an interesting time, that is for sure. It's there's been a lot of pros and negatives, but more pros than negatives. It's been a wild trip, and thank you for all these years. And I guess one good thing I'm happy about, because I never really got famous or made millions of dollars like other people did, and good for them. I really mean that. But I see a lot of the ideas that I have put out there, and it's just not my ideas. I got them from like Joe Sobram, Sam Francis, Jared Taylor. But a lot of the ideas I got out there, I see now Matt Walsh saying, I see Tucker Carlson saying, I see that lady that got kicked off the religious tolerance board saying we're under occupational government. I'm like, really? We're under a Zionist? Would that be a Zionist occupational government? Woo! So we've come a long ways, that's for sure. Super sticker, $5. Thank you. Oh, let me bring that up. That is a scrawny raisin, 3137. I appreciate that. Thank you. That is really good. And let me just look at my Rumble. All right. And keep them coming. I do appreciate these. And we'll get into the show here. We'll get into the show. We can kind of been messing around here. Again, Fridays, I just take it a little bit easier. So we'll go as long, we'll see. We'll see how long we go today. All right. Trump, again, he's about 80, and he's kind of going I think kind of strange. But let's read this. Trump, he's all over the map, right? In the single day, he's like, we're going to escalate the war, boots on the ground, to we're getting the fuck out of this. But this is what he said now. We are getting very close to meeting our objectives as we consider winding down our great military efforts in the Middle East with respect to the terrorist regime of Iran. Completely degrading their Iranian missile capability, launchers, and everything pertaining to them. But that doesn't even make sense. He says this, but as I speak, Israel is being pounded, and bases in Iraq, American bases on fire. Israel, they're not depleted. Trump just says this shit that doesn't make any sense. He says, like, Iran's 100% defeated. 100% of the military is eliminated. Okay, then, bitch, why is the Strait of Hormuz closed? And why are missiles landing every day in Tel Aviv? Why are our bases being pounded? Why is the Gulf states being pounded? Huh, bitch? What is this? But he's the type that he's a bullshitter. He just says this stuff because it sounds good. 2, destroying Iran's defense industrial base. You have it. It's mostly underground. 3, eliminating their Navy and Air Force, including anti-aircraft weaponry. Well, they just shot down a stealth fighter. 2 yesterday. So I don't think it's gone. And our planes are still too scared to fly over Iran. We're just flying near the border and setting off missiles, by the way, just so you know. And their Navy is mostly small speedboats. Yeah, we sunk an old frigate that dates back to the Shah of Iran from the 70s, where they got from Britain. It was in a naval exercise with India. It was unarmed. I guess great. Hey, good job with that. And Air Force, their Air Force is our missiles and drones. The warfare's changed. Warfare has changed. It always has throughout history. World War One was such a dramatic change, with tanks and machine guns. Tanks were just in their infancy, but especially machine guns. That it was just a different type of war. And then in World War II happened, everyone, we got the battleships. They ended up being irrelevant. Carriers became important. And I'm arguing now aircraft carriers are irrelevant. They're dated. And so are planes. Why have planes when you can have drones or missiles? Really, why have a plane? So they don't have much of an air force to begin with, but whatever. Never allowing Iran to get even close to nuclear capability. Well, they probably will now because we murdered the guy that was opposed to it, the supreme leader. Protecting at the highest level our Middle Eastern allies, including Israel, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, Kuwait, and others. Well, we're not doing a good job on that. They're getting pounded nightly. Our air defense is depleted, and it's not really working against the new Iranian missiles, and they're getting real pissed off. The Hormuz Strait will have to be guarded and policed if necessary by nations who use it. The United States does not. It's not our problem, bitch. You got to defend it. If asked, I will help these countries in their Hormuz efforts, but it shouldn't be necessary once Iran's threat is eradicated. Importantly, it will be an easy military operation for them. And then thank you for your attention to this matter. It's just crazy because, and who knows, Trump, what he says today, he'll just totally be opposite tomorrow. But Trump here is saying, well, if you want to know the truth of it, we don't even want to open the Strait of Hormuz. You cowards like Britain and France and Poland, you can open it. We don't even care. By the way, we've already defeated them all, so why should we do it? So that's his position. So a lot of people think that we're going to walk away from this war. Trump really wants to walk away from this war. There's no doubt about it. But there's a slight problem. And the problem is, unless you get victory, you totally defeat the enemy, you don't get to just unilaterally decide you're going to end the war. You got to get the other side's okay too. You have to. And right now, Iran is ghosting us. And I believe this. Steve Witkoff is desperately trying to, come on, Iran, come on, just talk to us. And Iran's like, go fuck yourself. We've negotiated with you twice, and you did sneak attacks both times, and you brag about it. So go fuck yourself. Why would we negotiate with you? If we negotiated with you, you'll just murder us again. Why would we do that? And Witkoff is like, no, please, come on, answer your text messages. And they're not. So Iran doesn't really want to negotiate with us. I don't blame him. And so that's the problem. So one of the solutions is, well, hell with them. Fuck Iran. We'll just declare a victory. Trump can have a parade, declare his birthday a national holiday, give himself a Medal of Honor, proclaim there's never been a warrior since Alexander the Great like him. Total victory. Okay, he can do that. But the problem is Iran can still keep the Strait of Hormuz closed, and they can still bomb our best little buddies and our bases in the Gulf states. And there's some problems there, right? For the Strait of Hormuz being closed, yeah, we're not going to run out of oil because we're an oil exporter, but still there'll be less oil on the market, and that's going to raise the price of oil, which makes it more expensive at the pump. But more than that, it makes it more expensive to fly. It creates inflation because your goods have to be transported by trucks that use diesel, and that's so expensive now, so that's passed on to you. Inflation is going up, by the way. It's going crazy. And so that's the problem if the oil prices go up, which they are, if the Strait of Hormuz stays closed. And if they keep bombing our bases in the Gulf states, we'll have to pull out. Pretty much we've already pulled out of these bases because we're scared. And these Gulf states are like, what the fuck? The deal was we'll sell our oil in dollars and you protect us, and you bitches are running away. You're not protecting us. What's up? What's up? And, Arabs, they're not loyal. That whole region of the Middle East, including Israel, they're a bunch of backstabbers. That's their culture. So they'll go to someone else like that. And they will. Now they'll go to China or Russia. And that will screw our petrodollar. And that's why we spend so much, little black babies. And we spend so much. And how we're going to do that? How we're going to spend all the money and making sure everyone gets their free sex change operation? Well, see, that's going to be out the window because we spend more than we take in. But that's okay right now because we don't get really high inflation because other countries, they need the dollar, right? Because they got to buy oil. And oil, we made an agreement back in 1973. Kissinger did with Saudi Arabia and OPEC. We're like, okay, we'll defend you, but you just got to sell in dollars. That's it. So there's a demand for dollars. Oh, this could destroy that. So this is huge. And then obviously Israel. Do I need to say where our Congress people are owned by Israel? I mean, they're not going to tolerate. All right, would these people just tolerate Israel being bombed every night forever? And that they're not going to tolerate that. So Trump's got himself in a pickle. He's in a pickle. What's he going to do? It's not easy to pull back. It really isn't. He got himself in a pickle. So Trump can say, oh, we're done with it. Victory. But then Iran can keep the Hormuz Strait closed, cutting off oil. They can keep missiles flying to the Gulf states, which supposedly Trump said don't exist. 100% wiped out. Well, that 0% is doing a fucking lot of damage. And it's attacking Israel. And it even attacked and I will go over this, a base in like our Indian Ocean, like 3,000 kilometers away. I mean, it was shot down, but what the hell? They have long-range missiles. So it is pretty crazy. So as of end of Friday night, and this was probably for the markets, Trump was putting signals that he wants to walk away from this mess. I have my doubts. It's that easy. I don't, at this point, I don't know really what to advise him. If I was president like today and I inherited this mess, I would just go to Iran and say, hey, we don't want to be at war with you. We'll drop the sanctions. We can't pull out of the Middle East because of our agreements. You understand that. And you understand who controls our Congress, AIPAC. So we can't abandon that. How about we won't attack you. We'll drop the sanctions and let's just stop this nonsense. But Trump can't do that. So, yeah, that is pretty crazy. This is what I was just referring to. And this is pretty, I guess, shocking. It's, they're defeated, 100% defeated, wiped out. But Iran fired 2 ballistic missiles. How were they able to fire missiles if they're all destroyed? Trump's an idiot. At U.S.-UK base at Diego Garcia in the Indian Ocean. This is far from Iran. So Iran has just announced they have long-range missiles. It could potentially hit the United States. Because Iran has always said that at the start of the war, they just shot off their old missiles because they knew the United States would act retarded and Israel would and shoot off all their interceptors at the old missiles. And now we're depleted. And now Iran's like, okay, now we're going to send off the good stuff. And a lot of these missiles launchers, they're underground, like up to 500 meters underground. They have these vast tunnel complexes. So it is more than Trump is letting on there. And one of the things I just saw on X, which I really like that Elon Musk is going to do, X is going to be able to detect AI videos and flag it if it's fake. And that's good because I want to always just look at real videos. So now what I try to do, I look at where the video's from, if it's from a reliable source, because there's so much bullshit people put out. Oh, here's a picture of Israel burning, and it's just an AI video. I hate that shit. But this one looks legit because it's a legit source. It doesn't mean 100%, but So this is tonight. The U.S. Victoria base in Baghdad, Iraq, was struck by multiple drones, is now ablaze. So, yeah, Iran is not exactly out of military weapons. Although, to be fair, this could have come from the Iraqi militias that are Shia because they're joining Iran as part of the war. But our embassy or base in Baghdad is on fire. Hopefully no one was hurt. I think we probably evacuated everyone from there. But that's where we are right now. All right. Let's see here. I don't see any posts that say, "Hey, boomer, your mic's not working." So I think my mic's working. So that's good. So thank you on that. And I get the boomer hate. I went to Sam's Club today. People younger than me, but I mean, they're just so fucking slow. What is it with all these old boomers that move so slow? It drives me crazy. So I get the hate. All right. I got a power chat from Charlie the Cat. Hi, Rams. Thanks for another week of clear war analysis. Have you heard about the stuff God's All-Stars starting a colony in Patagonia? Do you think normal Argentina people will be able to act in time to stop it? I have not heard about that. No, I haven't. I know Israel, they want to expand their greater Israel, but I haven't heard about a colony in Argentina per se. Although we have a colony in New York City and Washington, D.C., so I don't see how for Argentina that would be much different than what we are experiencing. So, yeah, that's, I haven't seen that. But thank you for that. All right. Let me see. I just want to make sure if I have any other super chats. No, I don't. Okay. And let me just look at here. All right. We'll continue on. All right. So while Trump is signaling he wants to wrap this up, but there's other things that are happening that are, yeah. Let's see here. Let me just get this. I could get my banner. Sorry about this here. Paul is a pit mommy. Yeah, I don't know if Benji's a pit. I should bring him in to show you guys. He may be part lab. I don't know. I think he's pit. But but again, I didn't. It's not like I went to a pet store and picked him out. He was abandoned, and we took him in as a little puppy. So here we are. And I kind of, in some ways, I hate him, but I do love him. He's fun. So he's a handful. All right. Let's see here. Oh, the Pentagon. Yeah. All right. I'll show you this. There's been a lot of words or talk today. Again, this is a Spectator. I try to do kind of mainstream sources, because there's a lot of bullshit out there. Breaking. Oh no, I already covered that. Sorry about that. There's another Spectator story. I think it was. Here it is. Here it is. Breaking! The Pentagon has made detailed preparations for deploying U.S. ground forces into Iran, according to a CBS News report. So I mean, even the mainstream media, you don't know if they're always true, but it makes sense on a level, but on another level, it doesn't make sense because you can't really win a war by just air power. You got to get boots on the ground. So Trump, I think, wants desperately for Iran to agree to a ceasefire. He denies it, but he's a liar. They want that. And then he'll declare victory. Said, "Oh, we just totally wiped them out. We made them cry uncle. And we didn't really want a regime change anyway." but we just kick those bitches in the face and they won't ever bother anyone anymore. That's nonsense. He wanted regime change. Remember that? Unconditional surrender. I picked the new leader. Yeah, what happened about that, Trump? But now he's trying to back off from that. But again, the Iranians won't agree because they are winning the war. They are. Strategically, they're winning the war. They're getting their objectives done. It doesn't mean they will win the war, but at this point they are. And so they're like, why would we want a ceasefire? And so if you don't have a ceasefire, the only way you can solve a lot of these issues is by a ground invasion. But that's going to be so difficult. We'll get into that. So supposedly the Pentagon is planning a ground troops, boots on the ground. And things have changed so much, guys. I hope you realize this. And a lot of people don't understand how different it is in 2003. Warfare has changed dramatically because of technologies, specifically drones, satellites, and missile technology. What I mean by that, and the Russians and Ukrainians found out about this, is there's no fog of war. If you have satellite information like Russia does and Iran does through Russia and Ukraine does through the United States, you always know where the enemy is. It's not a secret. So you can't really mass your troops. And it's say if you get your troops together in one location in a big formation, the enemy's just going to send missiles that don't miss because they're GPS guided. I mean, you could try to shoot them down, but otherwise they won't miss. And they're just going to wipe out your troops. And so it's made in the war that's still going on between Russia and Ukraine. It's a big bloody mess. Russia's winning, but it's a slow grind. They can't do these mass attacks anymore. Both sides can't. Russia's not able to. The armor gets wiped out right away. Ukraine's not. Remember Ukraine? They were, I think in 2022 was trying, or 23, doing their big offensive, their counteroffensive. It just totally got wiped out because the Russians could see it coming on satellite and they just destroyed the tanks and the troops. And Ukrainians, they invaded Kursk. They got wiped out there. It's just very difficult now. The war has changed. So the idea we're going to get a bunch of troops, stage them, and then do an invasion, well, the Iranians, through the Russians or Chinese, will be able to see where these troops are and just wipe them out with drones and missiles. They will. So it's all changed. And so the United States is backwards in warfare. We're stuck in the 20th century. We're still partying like it's 1980, right? It was a great time. I remember 1980. I was in high school, and 81, 82. You had Reagan and the big carriers and Top Gun, and yeah, I get it. But the technology's changed. That's not the era we live in anymore. So the idea that we're going to get these troops in easy to defeat Iran, is not as easy as it was with Iraq. Iraq didn't have satellite information. They didn't have drones. They didn't have sophisticated missiles. It's totally different. And it's going to be very, very difficult for them. But if we're going to do something stupid, you can bet the administration will probably do it. With Pete Hegseth. Pentagon sending thousands of additional Marines to the Middle East. Well, why do we need to do this if we've already won the war and Iran has been 100% defeated, according to President Trump? This doesn't make sense because they're not defeated. So we're going to send a whole bunch of thousands more additional Marines to the Middle East. Doesn't matter. It's not enough. If we wanted to do a proper invasion of Iran, it would probably require a couple of million men, and that would require a draft. And that's not going to happen. All these Marines, if they do anything, they'll just be slaughtered. It will be a big fucking mess. And we're having still a problem with the Strait of Hormuz. This came out today. No tankers, and this is Bloomberg Reliable, no tankers loaded with crude oil have sailed through the Hormuz in the last 24 hours, because we can see this in satellite. And again, this is going to be a big problem. It's already a huge problem for countries that depend on oil from the Gulf states like Japan, Philippines. Philippines, they already have gas shortages, and other countries. India could be impacted. But if there's shortages, it raises the price of oil everywhere, and we're going to see more expensive prices in the United States. Now, in the United States, we're not going to run out of oil because we're an exporter, but there's going to be a lot of financial pain involved unless the Straits of Hormuz are open. All right. And so far in this war, and again, this is by Bloomberg. Bloomberg reveals 16 U.S. fighter jets have been destroyed so far in the war against Iran. Well, that includes our drones. We have these expensive drones called Reapers. We had a whole different philosophy towards drones than Iran did. Iran, they had a new strategy with drones that the Russians took, by the way, because Iran, they were the leaders in drone technology. And they decided, hey, instead of making very expensive and large drones the size of like a real airplane, let's just make these small drones that are cheap, but we can make a whole bunch of them and just swarm an area. But the United States, we don't do that. We still make these very sophisticated drones, the Reapers, that cost millions of dollars. So it's included in there. There's been 16 of these shot down since the war has begun. Fearless Fred, Power Chat. If Rams co-host curse is real, would you be willing to have Richard Spencer as the co-host at least one show? Today, Dickie was crying on Twitter because Rebecca Hargraves and Cameron McGregor have a new show. I haven't followed Richard Spencer ever since he got in legal trouble. And in my opinion, he had a flip because of his legal problems. I will say in his prime, Richard was a smart guy. I mean, personality, he's an asshole, but he was a smart guy and pretty eloquent. I mean, not that smart. He wasn't like Jared Taylor smart, but he was fairly smart. Yeah, I forgot about Richard Spencer. It was funny how all the old school people of the alt right, you had Richard Spencer. I don't even follow him, but after his lawsuit, I think he had a flip. There's Matt Heimbach. I don't know what he's doing anymore. You had who else do you have? Oh, Laura Loomer. She's consulting the president now. You had Lauren Southern. Yeah, I'm trad, who ended up screwing around, and then didn't she flip too? I don't know. So it's kind of funny, all these people. I just keep plugging on. I haven't changed since then. I think I'm about the only one. There's a few that haven't changed, but I've never changed. So there we go. And I'm not saying that to brag. I've never been as popular as them. So maybe if I was more popular, it's more temptation to sell out. I'd hope I wouldn't sell out like they did, but maybe I would have. I don't know. Like I said, I'm just a guy with a camera. I'm just talking. All right, let's go talk about what are we going to do with these troops. I want to kind of dig into this a little bit. So we have these 5,000 Marines, or maybe more. What do we do with them exactly? And one idea reported U.S. is preparing a limited ground invasion into Iran that would include seizing Karg Island. I can't believe this is real because it's like peak retardation. But then I think we have Pete Hegseth, and so he might approve this. There's no reason to invade Karg Island or take it over. There's just so many problems with this. Karg Island, in case you guys don't know, let me just see if I have this. And I can have a map that just shows you it here. Yeah, let me just show you. I think this makes it clearer. All right, here's the map of Iran. Here's the Persian Gulf. And here you have the Gulf states: Oman, UAE, Qatar, Bahrain, Kuwait, Iraq. And they all produce oil. and we're supposed to protect them. And see right here, this is Strait of the Hormuz. And the Iranians, they control all this area here with drones and missiles and everything. And so if you take your little tanker from the Persian Gulf, let's say from Bahrain or Qatar or Kuwait, and you go, choo, 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 choo. Oh no, our battleship has been sunk. Remember that, like that game Battleship? So, and we don't know what to do about that. Our Navy is like, no fucking way, we're going through there. So that's the problem, right? They got control of this area right here. Karg Island is this little island. See this little speck? And that's about the size. It's tiny. It's a tiny island. And all they do at this island, Iran, they get their oil. And this is their terminal where they load it up with their oil tankers. And so the Iranian oil tankers, they get the oil that's been pumped out of the ground in Iran. And then they go, okay, here we go. They go through the Strait of Hormuz, through the Gulf of Oman. And then they go to China or India and they unload it and they get paid. That's how it works, right? So Karg Island, if we take that, that's like 80, 90% of their oil exports. That's where they depart. So if we took it, I guess, and Iran couldn't export any oil, but already it doesn't make sense because already we said we're not trying to sink the oil tankers because Trump doesn't want to disrupt the oil market, right? So Iranian oil tankers were like, go ahead, go ahead. In fact, it's more than that. We're lifting sanctions on Iranian oil because Trump is so bitch scared about the price of oil. He's like, no more sanctions. Come on, Iran, get your oil out. So the Iranians, they're able to get their oil out. I mean, we could sink their tankers. That's not hard to do, but we don't want to do that. So let's say if we did take Karg Island and we're like, aha, bitches, you can't ship your oil anymore. But what will that do to the price of oil? It's just going to skyrocket. So it doesn't make any sense. And even if we had a Karg Island, we couldn't take that oil ourselves and go ship it to Europe or wherever, Japan, because we'd have to get through the Strait of Hormuz and they would be destroyed. So it doesn't do anything. Plus, Karg Island is this tiny island and there's like no mountains or protection on it. And you'd be just shooting ducks. So if our Marines landed there, the Iranians here, it's not that far from the shoreline. They have artillery, they have missiles, they have drums. They just slaughter everyone that landed on there. So it makes no sense. So I think this is probably just a feint. The Marines are really going to try to take the Strait of Hormuz. Good luck with that. That's heavily defended. But I think that's the idea. Karg Island doesn't make any sense to take because even if we took it, then it's like, yeah, well, then what? It doesn't really solve anything. But anyway, that is the official idea that we are sending troops there. Whether we use them or not, I don't know. Trump changes his mind every day. But this is where we are now. And we see this, how he changes his mind every day. Trump, changing the regime is not the main objective of the attack on Iran. Well, it used to be. Let's be honest. That was the objective. We did a decapitation strike, which is a nice word for sneak attack while we were in negotiations. We killed the Khamenei guy, the old guy that was 86 years old. He had prostate cancer and was expected to die anyway this year, but we killed him. Good job. And so his son took over. That's more of a hardliner, but we killed Khamenei and some leaders. And we thought, everyone rise up. And then we get some gay guy or that just loves Israel. That didn't happen. So we didn't have a plan B. And remember, Trump said, I'm going to choose a new leader. Yeah, we don't hear that anymore. So now Trump is doing this cope. If we withdraw now, Iran will need 10 years to rebuild. And I think this is an acceptable situation. So Trump was already setting the stage, kind of like he did last year. Remember last year he attacked Iran and their nuclear facility. He said, we totally obliterated their nuclear program. They won't be able to build it for 10 years. And then now, before the start of this war, Lindsey Graham was saying, they're 2 weeks away from a nuclear bomb. So which is it, right? It's all bullshit. So Trump is trying to do the same thing, trying to do a face-saving thing. Like, well, you know, if you want to know the truth of it, even if we walked away now, I'm using Ethan Roth expressions. If you don't want to know the truth of it, we've already won. And so that's how he's trying to spin it, which is bullshit. But whatever. But again, as I said, Iran's got to agree to it. Otherwise, they'll keep the Strait of Hormuz closed. They could and continue to bomb our bases in Israel. So, but Trump is definitely trying to spin it like, even if we walk away now, it's just a glorious victory. And I get it. I'm okay with that. If, you know, most people know that was bullshit. Some of the Fox News boomers may believe it. It was a huge strategic defeat for the United States, but whatever. But the problem is, as I said, there's no guarantee that Iran will guarantee with that. And so it could go nowhere. So we'll see. We'll see what will happen there. All right. But now he's saying, no, regime change is not really the main objective. And Trump is also, he was saying today, we want to talk to Iran, but there's no one to talk to. Well, first of all, there are leaders in Iran. The press is interviewing them, so I don't know what he's talking about. It's just from what I'm reading, the Iranians aren't responding to the Americans' outreach because they don't trust the Americans. And if Trump was talking about unconditional surrender and we destroy their entire military, why does he want to talk to them? That doesn't make a lot of sense. But he's saying that he wants to talk to Iran, but there's no one to talk to because we killed them all, which isn't true because they're doing interviews, but whatever. This was a rumor. This is from Bloomberg. I don't know if this is true. But Russia is now saying that Putin would halt intel to Iran because Iran's getting intelligence information, specifically satellite information, where our ships are, where our troops are, if U.S. cuts off Ukraine. And this is from Political. So, you know, I'm not saying the Main Street source is accurate, but it's, you know, it's just not some random dude in his basement. So this is Political's reporting. Putin is saying, hey, here's the deal. We won't give Iranians any satellite information, but Americans, you can't give Ukraine satellite information to attack us. And so Trump, in chess terms, is forked, F-O-R-K-E-D, forked. And that's when, this happens to me a lot, is when you get the opponent moves and then they can attack you from two different ways. So you're like, oh shit, there's a knight there. And their knight can either take my knight and my rook or my queen. And I'm going to lose one no matter what because he's got me trapped. And that's the way Trump is. Does he betray Zelensky? Right? Remember the whole Zelensky thing? The proxy war against Russia and Project Ukraine, all Europe. We got to defeat Putin, the evil dictator. Or does he betray Netanyahu? And so he's in a tough position right now. The spoiler, he's not going to betray Netanyahu. Zelensky's going to be thrown under the bus. All right, here we go. It's always fun to listen to Trump. He always spurgs about something. And now Trump today was spurging about NATO because Trump got us into this fucking mess. And now he's mad at Europe that they won't get us out of this mess, right? Here it is. Without the USA, NATO is a paper tiger, right? Yeah, there's no need to have NATO anyway. It was to counterbalance the Soviet Union and the Warsaw Pact. The Soviet Union doesn't exist, so whatever. They didn't want to join the fight to stop a nuclear-powered Iran, right? Because it wasn't a threat. Now that the fight is militarily won, with little danger for them, they complain about the high oil prices they are forced to pay, but they don't want to help open the Strait of Hormuz. A simple military maneuver that is the single reason for high oil prices. So easy for them to do with so little risk. Cowards! You fucking pussies! Europeans, you're cowards! And we won't remember. All right, let's kind of deconstruct this. Well, if the fight is already won and we defeated their military, why is the Strait of Hormuz closed? Right? That doesn't make sense to me logically. And if it's easy, a simple military maneuver that is easy to do, which he said, right? So easy, so easy. Well, if it's so easy, why don't we do it? Because Trump wanted our Navy to do it, and our Navy said, oh, no fucking way. We'll be destroyed by their missiles and drones. So now Trump's like, oh, okay. Well, okay, you pussies in UK and France and Poland, yeah, you pussies, you got to go. Why don't you send your ships there and open it? It's easy. We've defeated them. You just have to go through. It doesn't make sense on any level. And it's just really crazy publicly. He would alienate our so-called allies. It's just really crazy, right? Because if it's easy, why doesn't our Navy do it? And first of all, why does anyone have to do it if the military's been defeated? So his own lies contradict themselves in the post. And I'm just tired of this bullshit. Just be honest with American people. Quit lying about this nonsense. But that's what he's doing. So he is now calling Europeans pussies because they won't send their military or Navy in to open the Strait of Hormuz, when our Navy refuses to do so because it's too dangerous. I'm not joking. This is the situation. All right. Let me just double check here, see if I got super chats or rants. This was the most spiritually Jewish truth ever. Yeah. We're no longer, our leadership, I've always said spiritually is no longer Christian, it's Jewish. And you can see that. Okay. All right. Tom Cotton tweets more about Israel more than Arkansas. Well, sadly, he's not the only one. Lindsey Graham is the same way. Lindsey Graham, you would never know he's from South Carolina. He just talks about Israel. Tom Cotton, my senator from Arkansas, he shouldn't be our senator. He doesn't live in Arkansas. He lives in, I think, Virginia. He gets all this money from Israel. He's a foreign agent. And AIPAC. And you go, AIPAC's not technically Israel. Yeah, fuck off. This is a big issue. We don't control our government anymore. And yeah, Tom Cotton, I've said, it's not hyperbole or tongue in cheek. If he had to make a decision of only one city had to be nuked, Little Rock, Arkansas, or Tel Aviv, I have no doubt, Tom Cotton would say Little Rock, which is hard for me to object to because Little Rock's kind of shitty, but he would choose Little Rock. And this is the problem we have with our senators. It is a bad situation. There's no doubt about that. All right, I'm just scrolling up. I think I got all right. Just going through the super chats, the YouTube chats. It's good to have you guys. I hope you have a happy Friday, by the way, and hope you guys have a good weekend. And see, I got that about Tom Cotton. Let me see here. All right. I think I'm caught up. Oh, here we go. Good. Caleb Gamer 1720. All this is being done to destroy the US dollar, the global economy, and force us into new systems with CBDC, digital ID, etc. That could be a side effect. And so thank you, Caleb, on that. I think the reason mostly is because Israel considers Iran to be an obstacle for them to expand Israel into greater Israel, and which they want to do, take more territory. And they see Israel funds like Hezbollah, because let's face it, Israel wants to take over Lebanon. Hezbollah has been a trouble with Israel. They're a militia that fights pretty hard, and Hezbollah is funded by Iran. So Israel, through AIPAC, controls our politicians and gets us to fight a war for Israel. So really, that I still say this is at least 90% about Israel. It's other things may come into play too, but it's mostly about Israel, straight out. Which Rubio admitted to, which Trump admitted to, which Mike Johnson admitted to. So, yeah, it's about Israel, and it's a big problem. And this is a big problem we got to overcome. Is people that put a foreign country before our own. And thank you for that super chat. That kind of leads into this segment from Megyn Kelly. And we'll take a look at here.
It started there. Like, suddenly I'm an anti-Semite. Like, no one can name anything anti-Semitic I've said.
Well, see, anti-Semite is just a slur that they use, because you could think, well, I don't really hate Jewish people. I often use, I have a dentist live near me. I love the guy. I have nothing against him. And he's Jewish. That's not what they mean. They mean the Jewish lobby. You have to be subservient to them and agree with everything. So if Israel slaughters or a bunch of children, you better not fucking object, or you're an anti-Semite. If Israel wants to rape a Palestinian in prison, which they did, and they got off, you got to support that. Otherwise, you're an anti-Semite. If Israel wants us to go to war with them, you got to say, yes, sir, we'll do that. Otherwise, you're an anti-Semite. If Israel says, we want more money from you bitches in America, you got to say, yes, sir, let's open the checkbook for you. Otherwise, you're an anti-Semite. That's how they define it.
Attributed us getting into this war to people like Mark Levin, Ben Shapiro, Miriam Adelson, who definitely paid Trump hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah, Edelson, that's part of the problem.
And this is her number one thing. But it's also, I reported this to you last weekend, my old pal Mark Thiessen of Fox News, and General Jack Keane of Fox News, and Lindsey Graham. I think all three of those are not Jewish people.
See, I think the problem that we have is we want to, because a lot of people came from different countries. Like my ancestors, they came from England in the 1600s, or in Scotland. But I don't put Scotland or England ahead of America. And other people that, German ancestors and so forth. I'm good friends with a Hungarian. He came over in 1956 as a young child, but he loves America. He's a dual citizen, but he would choose America first, no doubt, over Hungary. But it's not that way with people like Ben Shapiro and stuff. They have ethnic loyalty to their homeland. And it's hard for us to understand that, but they do. And again, you can't even bring that up. Otherwise, that's anti-Semitism, even though all their actions submit to it.
Pushed hard for us to get into this war. Been very critical of Lindsey Graham, who's frothing at the mouth for more death. But Mark and General Keane, I respect and like them both. I disagree with them, and they disagree with me, but that's fine. We can still have disagreements without demonizing the other people. At least I think we can.
No, you can't. You can't, because they're playing for keeps, and they see America as something to be looted for their ethnic homeland, and that's not negotiable. So while you may have good faith, they do not have good faith. They are not Christians. They do not have a Christian morality, which is radically different than their morality. Radically different. And Christians tend to be very naive and don't understand how they look at things and how they do things. And I think Megyn Kelly's kind of learning that. And she's shocked. I mean, I'm not shocked. I guess I'm a little jaded. They came to me, I'm like, I don't fucking trust you for 1 second. But she, will buy that. I mean, I would trust my neighbor. He's a good Christian man, so I would trust him. But I trust Ben Shapiro? Fuck no. Fuck no. Ever no. I mean, it's just naive if you think otherwise. So a lot of these people, they don't understand their differences because they bought into Judeo-Christian. They're just like, no, they're not. They're not. They have a different morality that's radical. Their morality is for their people, not to outsiders. And they're explicit about it, right? So being honest, telling the truth, treating each other with kindness as for their people, not outsiders. It's not universal like Christianity at all. So a lot of these people, they get all tripped up on that. So that's what it is. All right. So Megan Kelly, it's kind of funny seeing her becoming red pilled in real time. And thank you all for being here. Tim 300, really enjoying the shows lately. Well, thank you. I'm enjoying doing this. Caleb Gamer 7220. For the Greater Israel Project, toppling the old system is part of it. The data centers, Palantir AI, Police State, the B system. Yeah, that's a great point. One of the things that people don't understand is this fundamentally is a religious war. And we always think religious wars being Muslims because they really believe the religion, which they do. And the Iranians, they're okay with dying, being martyrs. But this is also a religious war for Netanyahu and his belief that the prophecy bringing back what they believe to be a Messiah, they rejected the true Messiah in Jesus. So their Messiah will be the Antichrist, but they want to bring that back. And Christian Zionists, which have a heretical view, they want to try to bring this back to bring the rapture. So, including Pete Hegseth, right, and all these people, it's a really religious nature. And I would say Trump too. And my theory on Trump, because Trump's never been a real religious man, but after the attempted assassination where he almost got killed, he was shot in the ear. I think it really shook him up, and he became isolated, and he surrounded himself with people, these Christian Zionists that told him, you're really special. You're from God. You're like David. God has a special plan for you to bring justice and peace throughout the world. And you're like God's angel. And Trump, he's always been a narcissist. And now he's almost 80. So he's losing some of his cognitive ability and he's more susceptible. He's starting, I think, really believe that. I think he thinks he's on a mission of God to do these wars, to do good in the world, because Trump has said he always thinks he's probably going to hell, probably will. But so that's why he's doing that. He's surrounded by these people. So this fundamentally, I think the root of the war is religious. It's not about money or oil or anything like that. It's religion. And it's just not the Muslims, it's Judaism and Christianity, or heretical version of Christianity. And so that's really what's driving it. And when you get in religion, people take it seriously, because what if Iran doesn't fall and they remain strong? Then what happens to the third temple? What happens to the rapture? What happens to the prophecy? And all these people, their whole religious view could be in jeopardy, and they can't fathom that. And no, this has got to be the start of World War III, where Russia and China join in, and the Antichrist comes, and they build the third temple, and they destroy the Dome of the Rock and build the third temple and start sacrifices again. The Antichrist will come, and then the rapture will happen. The Christians go to heaven. Then there'll be Armageddon, a huge battle that killed 2/3 of the world's population. And then Jesus will return. That's their belief. I mean, it sounds something like out of Charles Manson, but that's what they believe. They're trying to do helter skelter. Literally, they're helter skelter. We got to try to do this like Charles Manson. Let's just do this race war. Helter skelter. Let's just start slaughtering people to start the race war. And then we'll be in the desert. Then I'll come out as the leader. Yeah, that's kind of basically what these people are thinking. So they're doing the Charles Manson view of diplomacy here. Let's bring helter skelter or Armageddon. If we just kill enough people, Jesus will come back. He has to, right? So yeah, that's their view. Pretty fucking insane, but that's where we are. All right. talking about a guy that's totally fucking insane and also stupid, but he looks the part, right? He looks the part. We'll look at Pete Hegseth. And I swear to God, Trump picked him because he looks like he'd be a strong, square jaw leader. And he's just a total stupid.
To that point on capabilities, Iran's an energy-rich country, could be, should be. Instead, like so many other places driven by a radical ideology, they've spent that money instead of investing in their people. And that's why you had millions of Iranians protesting, because they felt like their quality of life didn't.
It wasn't millions, by the way.
Match what it could be or should be. And what was the Iranian state? There's a reason we call Iran the #1 state sponsor of terrorism, because they took the money they make and they invest it in tunnels, and they invested in missiles, and they invested in launchers and
Well, it looks like it was pretty smart, right?
UAVs, and we are destroying and degrading that in historic.
And what terrorism exactly has Iran supported? No, seriously. They've given money to Hezbollah. You could say that's terrorism, but Hezbollah fights Israeli troops. And they fought the Marines in 1983. But again, that's a valid military target. Attacking military targets isn't terrorism. It's attacking civilians. And Hezbollah is a proxy. They're not even totally controlled by Iran. Just like the Ukrainians are a proxy for us. Or ISIS is a proxy for us too.
Proportions, but it doesn't mean they won't still have some and try to hold people at issue, which is why we're fighting every single day to continue to compel. And you mentioned embassies and consulates. Unlike previous administrations, we are doubling and tripling down on ensuring that our people, regardless of their Department of War, Department of State, whatever they do, are secure in those facilities. And the best defense is a good offense. And so we're not afraid to go after and kill anybody, and we have a lot of them attempting to target our diplomatic facilities. Iran, we're not surprised that they would indiscriminately target, and we're still seeing that.
So he's saying, criticizing Iran for investing in their defense. And this was a press conference where he was asking you, the taxpayers, for $200 billion more dollars for our war machine. Kind of ironic there. He probably doesn't understand the irony because he's not that bright, but yeah, that's where we are right now. Speaking of which, so the war that supposedly we already won, the Trump administration is begging for $200 billion more from Congress. We got a huge deficit. We can't afford this, but anything for Israel.
I've already told leadership I am a no on any war supplementals. I am so tired of spending money elsewhere. I am tired of the industrial war complex getting all of our hard-earned tax dollars. I have folks in Colorado who can't afford to live. We need America First policies right now, and that I'm not doing that. We need the Save America Act, FISA with warrants. There's a lot of hard lines that I have right now, and we've got to get our act together if we want to keep this majority. And the path that we're going doesn't look very promising.
Should the administration get out of Iran?
That's up to the president.
So at least Lauren Boebert is going to vote against the $200 billion. And people are asking me what I think will happen. And Trump is really kind of trapped. It's a hard question because, like I said, he just can't walk away because Iran may not stop. And Iran has already said, well, fuck you. You can walk away, but we're still going to attack Israel and your bases in the Gulf states. And if we walk away from the Gulf states, we lose the petrodollar. We have a financial crash in America. I mean, it'd be horrible. So we can't do that because we're off the gold standard. We went to the petrodollar. If we go off the petrodollar, we're fucked. We're going to have hyperinflation. So we can't do that. And we can't walk away from Israel. I mean, I could, but all these politicians that are whores for Israel, they can't. So, and Israel and Iran's not negotiating for good reason, because anytime they negotiate with us, we murder them. Like the Red Wedding in Game of Thrones, So it's a tough situation he got himself into. My opinion is he's going to keep spazzing around because he doesn't know what to do. So we'll keep dropping bombs, hoping something changes, and it won't. It didn't make a difference in Vietnam or Korea, but he'll still do bombing attacks because what else are we going to do? We don't know. And then eventually he will try to, I think those Marines are not going to Karg Island. They're going to Hormuz. They're going to try to take that strait. And I think it will be a debacle, unfortunately. I think the Marines, because the Iranians will see them coming through satellites, and they will be slaughtered, and they'll have to retreat. And that's going to create a crisis in the United States. And usually a president like Nixon would have enough sense when the Senate leaders, because the Senate leaders then will come to Trump and say, you got to end this. But Trump has such an ego, I don't know if he would. And so can we last until he's removed from office until January? Because we're in March now, right? Realistically, he can't be forcibly removed until January. I know there's a 25th Amendment, but that's very hard. That's mostly meant for if, like, say, the president has a stroke and can't communicate, it's a vegetable. That's what that's meant for. It's not meant for because you disagree with their policy. So the 25th Amendment sadly won't happen. It will have to be an impeachment, but more than impeachment, the Senate will have to try and remove the president, which has never been done in American history. There's been a president's impeached. Bill Clinton was impeached. I think Trump was impeached previously twice. Nixon would have been impeached, but that was a different time. He had a sense of honor to step down. These people, they don't have honor. They're not going to step down. So he can't be forcibly removed until January. That's a long time with an economic crisis and him not knowing what to do. And so I'm not really quite sure, but I think the strategy sadly is going to be try to invade the Straits of Hormuz on the cheap, meaning if you're going to do that properly, you probably need to get hundreds of thousands of soldiers together. It's going to take many months and prepare it, but Trump won't want to spend the time or the money to do that. He wants it to be done quick, so he's going to half-ass it like they do everything, and there won't be much planning, and they'll just try to storm, I guess, somehow. I don't even know how they'll do it because we can't get boats close enough to it without them being destroyed. But they'll try to somehow parachutes. And our Marines the Marines changed their whole focus. You have to understand the last decade or two, they're no longer heavy units where they have tanks and stuff like that. They're light. They're like light infantry because the Pentagon thought would no longer have these long wars anymore. We thought that day was over. But as we see with Ukraine and Russia, that's not true. They've been going for 4 years. Wars are now more like World War I. They're bloody in trenches, and it's very difficult to do maneuvers. But we're still set up in the 20th century, light Marines. I don't think they can really control the situation. So what happens when Trump sends in the Marines and they get defeated, hundreds or thousands die? There's going to be a huge pushback. Congress will probably try to withhold money. I don't think Trump will step down. Eventually, he'll be removed in January, and then you'll have President Vance, and President Vance probably can navigate it because he's younger and he's not as controlled by Israel. It could get bloody though. I have to be honest. I don't want that to happen, but I don't really see a good scenario. I don't see Trump being able to walk away. He wants to walk away, but there's just no way we can walk away from the Gulf states because of the petrodollar. And we can't walk away from Israel because of the control they have over our Congress and our government. I just don't see that happening. Let's see here. A couple of the other things that are happening. This is really going to kill the airline industry. I used to support the airline industry, American Airlines. This is United. In the letter to his employee, United CEO Scott Kirby said the airline is prepping for oil to hit $175 a barrel, and it won't go back down to $100 a barrel until the end of 2027. United is shaving 3% off peak flight, think red eyes and everything. So you're going to see airlines cutting back on their flights, and airline tickets are going to get extremely expensive because of the price of oil. And it's going to be, we're in this could be a long war and in the long haul. I don't know the quick solution. I guess the quick solution is if, like, Iran should just magically the government fall and a new leader that loves Israel takes over. But the longer we go, I said at the beginning, for that strategy work, the best chance was for that to work within the first 24 hours of the bombing. The longer that went on, the war went on, the more the advantage would go to Iran. Sort of like the Vietnam War. And we're seeing that. So the longer this goes on, Iran gets more in the advantage. So I don't see that happening. I don't see Trump, even though he wants to, walking away from this because of, again, we need to support the Gulf states in Israel, political reasons. So I think he's going to feel forced and like, okay, well, I have these 5,000 Marines. Let's try to take the Strait of Hormuz. But what if that fails and thousands die? Then what? Yeah, we're in a mess. And I don't see an easy way out with Trump in charge right now. Not trying to blackpill people, but, and again, maybe the Iranian government will collapse. They'll be flying the LGBTQ flag and have Israel there, but I'm kind of doubting that right now. All right. Here's some of the information I wanted to show you too about the economy, how Trump's this is part of the reason too Trump's really worried. In a sudden turn of events, the U.S. 12-month inflation expectations have surged to 5.2%, the highest level since March 2023. And so it now looks like instead of the Federal Reserve, instead of cutting rates, will actually be increasing rates for interest, which is good if you're in like a money market fund or CDs, but bad if you're investing in Bitcoin or stocks. So interest rates are probably going to go up, which might make it more, will affect the economy because it's going to be more expensive to borrow money, like for homes, cars. We could enter a recession, and it's really damaging. But we're seeing this almost like to the 70s, in the 70s, because of the oil crisis then, because of the OPEC boycott or oil embargo. It created a short-term horrible, what they called stagflation. And you guys are probably too young to remember that. A kid, that's where we had inflation and a bad economy. There wasn't many jobs. We could go back to that. And it is a situation there. Here's what I wanted to find. Israel, they're still playing influencers, I believe. Message. Supposedly $7,000 a tweet. And you could tell because I'll say the same thing. Eon Miles Chung, anti-Semites are turning me into a Zionist. Their low IQ energy is too much for anyone intelligent to handle. Will Chamberlain, really starting to feel like all the anti-Semitism out there is turning me into a Zionist. Captive Dreamer, anti-Semites are turning me into a Zionist. Their low IQ energy is too much for anyone intelligent to handle. Sam, anti-Semites are turning me into a Zionist. Their low IQ energy is too much for anyone intelligent to handle. So these people, I would say, are all being paid, probably, I can't say sure, by either the Israeli government or like AIPAC, and they're given a script about what to say, and they all say it. And some of them are they're too fucking low IQ to change it up, right? If they're not fucking retards, they would change it and just literally tweet what they're given instructions to say, but they don't. And so we're getting all of this psyops happening. I'm not sponsored by anyone. I'm not beholden to anyone. Life is short. Even if I live another 30 years is short. So I just want to be real. And I'm not always right. Sometimes I get things wrong. I get fooled or whatever. But I'm not going to fucking whore myself out like these people. What's the point? I've never done that. There's been times wrong, but I will never, ever with you guys. I respect you. I will never fucking sell out and say something I don't believe because I'm getting money. Now, no one's offered me money well, no, that's not true. People have offered me money to retweet stuff and I've refused. So that's why I count on you guys. So that's how I am. And maybe that's stupid because I could have got a lot more money, but I don't care. But it kind of makes me mad. This is people are doing this to try to influence people. It's just crazy, really crazy. And anti-Semitism, they define as if you're against the war on Iran, you're an anti-Semite. Yeah, go fuck yourself. All right. Let's see here. I'm going to do some other news here just quickly. Yeah, I think I mentioned this at the start of the show, but sadly, action movie star Chuck Norris is dead at 86. And there's all those Chuck Norris memes. Remember that? Then he got into movies. He lived a great life. 86. Man, that's good, man. That's good. If you make it to 86, you've done well. As my doctor said, if you make it over 80, it's bonus time. Bonus time. My dad made it to 88. My grandmother made it to 97. But when I talked to her at 97, I'm like, hey, you're only 3 years to 100. You think you're hoping you make 100? And she said, I hope not. Because your quality of life really goes down as you get older, especially near 90. But hey, great life. I mean, we all die. Our time here is short. He lived a good life and good for, it's sad to see him go, but he had a long life and that was it. Okay, here. Let me just check all of this. Okay, I'm just checking all the. I'm just checking to make sure I don't miss any super chat or anything like that because I feel bad if I do that. I think I got everything though. So I think I'll wrap it up. Friday night, it's been good. Hey, I didn't have to leave early and take a piss. Even though I have a prostate the size of a basketball, I didn't have to do that. And I'm just having fun with you guys. It's great to be here. Hope you guys have a great weekend. Enjoy the spring, and hopefully you guys have good weather. I will be back on Monday, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.